With Brian Thompson shot, I'm surprised it hasn't happened more often. I remember that there were old movies that explored this scenario because it was fairly predictable. There was a God, I forget the name of the movie. There was another one where the guy's son was denied healthcare, and so it turned into spiraled into a hostage situation in the movie. Like, I forget the name of it though. It's been a while since I saw that one. But I've been part of this battle and on the side of the people pushing for Medicare for all for like a very long time. And if you're a doctor watching this, I just wanted to say, hey, I happen to know about your business because I've got friends, and because I have those friends, or at least I had them for God only knows what transpired. But I learned at some point, that you know, and I have different friends now. I just, I've changed friends, but my old friends, worked in the medical industry for a while, and I ended up realizing that medical billing was, like a massive fucking thing for doctors and everybody else. Like, it's a fucking headache like that they have to deal with. And so the people that actually work in, the collections department for those people are actually pretty well compensated because, they're constantly on the phone wrangling with insurance companies that are trying not to pay up and, customers of these doctors that are also trying not to pay up. And, you know, like, you know, medical bankruptcy is absolutely rampant in this country, and these are stubborn facts that I've been aware of for quite some time. And I know that the sentiment here, for a lot of people in commentary is that that the public had a chance, to take Medicare for all, and it didn't because it's in love with its private health insurance companies. But I think that the collective shrug reaction that I'm seeing about Brian Thompson's killing is indicative, I think, of a concession that my perception of the low quality provided by the private, is true. Like, now, I've been on Medicaid and Medicare for quite some time, and I basically get what I need, and I can't help but look at the private plans and the way that they're not adequate. It's like the moment there's a profit incentive, there's a degradation of quality because of that fact. Like, the moment that that is introduced to the equation, they're just not able to provide what it is you actually need from them at all. It turns into that kind of situation because the profit incentive, it's relentless. I mean, let me put it like this: they already make money because they're getting paid by you for health insurance, but now when you need them, they're gonna have to try to jack profits up even higher, essentially, to maximize them by, denying as many claims as they possibly can, even though these people are paying customers. And that's how they maximize profits. It's not even about making money anymore. It's about making as much money as fucking possible and screwing, the consumer out of every nickel and dime that you actually can. It's not about modest profits, because they would still make money, if they approved like a lot more than they actually did, off just the fact that people were paying on the front side. But that's not enough, for them. It's always, we have to make even more than that. It's not enough. It's not acceptable to take a diminished amount of profit. We have to make as much money as fucking possible, and that's the situation on the private side of the equation. Whereas in Medicare, it's just, we've got the money and we're going to dole it out as needed, and no real fight, on the Medicare and Medicaid side of the equation. And it's just, checking out to get a prescription filled for penny for like $1, and then watching some other guy have to pay hundreds of dollars on a private plan that doesn't cover, most of it, the medication cost, is of some private personal amusement, although I do realize, given the political situation, that something is going to need to be done, likely tax hikes in order to shore up these, the welfare state so that it doesn't, collapse in on itself, at some point, and hopefully, but I mean, outlook not good, the public, God. And anyways, the whole fucking situation that I see out there and everything, the private plans suck. They suck. And to the doctors themselves, my message and pitch to you is that since medical billing is such a massive ordeal, a Medicare for all is a system that would pay you at the very least without all the headaches and hassles and the need for, at least as many specialists to go and do the calls and then sit on there and argue with those assholes and go through the whole paperwork process and all the headaches and hassles that it puts you through. Even if you didn't make as much money under an M4A system, at least you would probably be able to make it all back, even if there was more revenue coming in the door, by reducing the amount of people and specialists you would need, in your medical billing departments that do the collections and freeing up the staff that, isn't a specialist in medical billing to not have to join in on that stuff. I mean, you would actually make up the difference, even if there was less money coming in the door under an M4A system, because you could cut that staff out and have the staff that, it does other things focus more on their other talents, like reshuffling people around, and I mean, that's what gets me about all of it is that, we know that medical billing is such a massive issue, but then, we haven't had nearly as many doctors endorse M4A as, really should have seen. They should have been seeing it, from that lens, which is, well, I mean, at least this is somebody that isn't as much of a hassle, and doesn't give us as many headaches as far as payouts is concerned. And to the end consumer in the United States, I just want to say the following about Medicare for All. Single payer means what it says. In a rather literal fashion, it means that there's only one health insurance provider in the whole nation. You might like having options, and I get it, but I wanted to say the following. You know, in this situation, have you thought about the lens of leveraged negotiations? Have you even considered it? Because when the entire United States is under a single system and everybody gets their insurance through one massive public, system via Medicare for all, when that happens, if that happens, that means Medicare is responsible for everybody in this whole country. And what that means is that, like, for instance, when they're negotiating with, the health insurance, not the health insurance companies, but when Medicare is negotiating with big pharma, they're going to be able to have the leverage of having the entire US market, served by Medicare, which means that they have a lot of negotiating power at that bargaining table, which means that they're able to tell, you know, the big pharma essentially, if you want to be able to sell your product in our country at all, you want to be able to make any money, you're going to have to do and let us decide what we'll pay you for your product. We get to decide the price now, because if you want access to our markets at all, you know, you're going to have to, it's basically at this negotiation, it's, we pay you what we want or bust. Are you really going to walk away from all that money? And at that point, it really starts to change. Everything starts to get cheaper. and more affordable as a consequence of it. Have you thought about it from that angle? I mean, you don't. ev- Basically, what I'm told is everybody loves their private insurance companies, but I'm just like, yeah. Um, when the CEO of United Healthcare is gunned down in the streets, and the reaction of the whole internet is my pity is out of network. I would think that that is indicative of the fact that the public is now making a rather implicit concession that I'm right and that the private health insurance companies actually offer a low quality of service. And if you're getting health insurance coverage through your employer, you're being fucked over by the health insurance company that you're getting through your employer. I'm so sorry for you. This is a horror show that's on full display, and with Brian Thompson and the internet's I can't help but think it's about fucking time. Is the sort of thing that goes through my head when I see this stuff. I mean, why hasn't it happened before? Why is it only just now? You know, I feel the rage that I feel like people will point out that you can make an appeal if you're denied a claim by these guys, but and you can also appeal to certain bodies and regulatory bodies of the government. But if you have to go via you have to actually make the complaint in the first place. But the thing is that my frustration is like they want it to be over the last couple of years, because of the situation on lawsuits, we've seen this shift towards arbitration, on the corporate side of things. And so it's like what they want is for team players to be at for there to be no independence and agencies overseeing this stuff. They want to make it so that any lawsuit goes straight to arbitration, so they get a more favorable deal for their terms. And it's like the appeals process through them feels very hollow and everything. And then on the flip side, it's like they've bought power. They pay millions of dollars of money is dumped into lobbying Congress to ensure that Congress will be completely dead set against Medicare for all and push back against it, and not support these ideas like single payer healthcare. And it's a corrupt cesspool of a system where money has corrupted every single fucking aspect of it, which kind of makes me go back to bases with the Young Turks and the Wolf Pack, because it's like this really still needs to be our first issue, is cleaning the money out of the system, because as long as there's money to infect the process and dump into lobbyists, they're going to get in the way of all the reforms that you'd like to see, no matter what your first issue is. Is it healthcare? Well, the health insurance companies are spending tons of money buying lobbyists to make sure that Congress doesn't change a damn thing under this exploitative system. And so it's like, from where I sit, you know, the perception and the word and the beat and the situation on the street should simply be that essentially you're this may be extrajudicial killing, but I would say that when you pay for lobbyists and you work the system to ensure that the politicians will be in your back pocket, what you have effectively done is choke off and make sure that all we'll be left with is the superficial appearances of the ability to dispute a claim. We what they've done is to ensure that there's no real authentic dispute resolution process that can be you know also appealed to a a truly independent uh, third party that has nothing to do with the health insurance company and no loyalty to their bottom line. They have made sure that the courts will be in their back pocket. They've made sure that the politicians will be in their back pocket. They've done so much of this. It has been what I would paint as making peaceful revolution or conflict resolution, another way of looking at it, impossible. And through making peaceful conflict resolution and peaceful revolution impossible, they have made violence, inevitable over the long term. And my sympathy is out of network on this one. Like so many of us, and I just wanted to say though that I think that the reaction that we're seeing from cyberspace is indicative that maybe it is time for me to come out of the woodwork and say this. For a long time, I have felt that the public sector was doing a better job of taking care of me than it was all of you on private health insurance. And to be fair, I feel that you are in love with your maybe private health insurance companies, but your love this whole time has been misplaced, and that really we'd all be better off without a private, health insurance industry at all. You know, Medicare for all. I can already tell you why I would get a better deal than you're getting under your private plan. Like I said, leverage negotiations is why.